Ever wondered how to find all the flowering jacarandas? We're going to show you our little secret. The iconic purple hue that blooms around in October in Sydney, December in Melbourne and May in LA. Join us as we explore how this simple little flower can light up a whole city. The best views are above the canopy, and a little birdie told me if you crack open the urban tree data set on the state government website, you can map out all the roads draped in purple. You just saw Melbourne? This is Sydney. With all the trees in the city mapped out, you can see the purple razzle across the map. Stunning. Now, two of the most famous trees are outside Town Hall. It's worth noting that there aren't many in the city centre except for these two beauties. This is because in the city centre, there isn't really that much sunlight hitting the ground plane. But because we're outside the plaza area of the Town Hall, there is enough sunlight, and we're also far enough away from underground services that roots can really get established. Zooming back out on the map, one of the other famous zones is Paddington. With the beautiful jacarandas set against the sandstone masonry, it's iconic Sydney. Next stop on the map, and proof positive that the jacaranda is a thinking woman's blossom, is Sydney University, with its expansive grounds, sandstone buildings and blossoms. Oh, it's so good. While we're on this side of the city, Erskineville, beautiful double-sided plantings, classic inner suburb Sydney architecture. And then the real killer, Kirribilli. The North Shore always comes with a certain level of refinement and makes you realise you love purple more than blue and red combined. Sydney's renowned for its jacarandas, and with good cause. Now this leads to the most Australian question of all. How does this affect house prices? Now we've pulled 200 transactions from the Jacaranda-lined streets to analyse. Now truth be told, there was no outperformance. It was no better than the wider suburb. In fact, the capital gains were meagre to poor. But when it comes to sales volume, there's something intriguing happening. There's higher volumes happening in the months of the bloom, October and November. Steve, I hear you say? Now, there's always been more activity during spring and summer. That's all you're detecting here. But you see, the beauty of this street is the trees were only just planted, so we can track before and after the purple blooms started to affect sales volumes. So prospective buyers are essentially saying that they know what the property is worth and they're not going to pay more for it just because it's got jacarandas outside. But given the option of buying a house in a street with jacarandas versus one without, the buyer is picking the purple paved street. Statistically, this is interesting, but it's not statistically categoric. We would need a much larger sample pool to make that for sure. And if Big Jacaranda is willing to pay for the research, we're happy to do the work. Failing that, incentivise us by smashing that like button. If you want to make your own map, here's how the digital wizardry was done. We download the GeoJSON files from the City Council database, and then using mapping software, we log the coordinates of every tree in the city to a 3D digital twin environment, complete with 3D building heights and footprints. Then we tagged out all the species names with the exception of the jacaranda. Then spent an absurdly disproportional amount of time searching for that perfect shade of purple. If you like the real thing more than digital representation and want to plant a few trees on your street, you'll find the seam casings at about the same time as the trees first bloom. These hard casings are protective against cockatoos, and you can need to open them up by lightly striking them with a hammer, or failing that, just pry them open with your teeth. Now be careful, the seeds are delicate and prone to flying away. Once you've salvaged some seeds, pop them into some potting soil about 1 centimetre deep, cover them over and give them a good water. Place them in a sheltered spot out of direct sun. After about 14 days, they should start to emerge. Keep them sheltered, and at about day 50, they're probably ready to plant out in your garden. Dig a hole 3 times the size of the root ball and water them in well. This is best done early in the morning or in the evening when the sun's gone down to ensure best survival. Then if you're lucky, around the 3rd year, you might have a beautiful little plant like this one. And if all that fails, just duck down to your local Bunnings and buy one. The more Scrooge move, though, would be to just jump over the fence and look under your neighbour's tree. You might find a seedling or two sitting there that can be dug up and transplanted. When the petals are littering the sidewalks and gutters of Sydney, Melbourne starts to spring to life, an underrated jacaranda city that turns purple in December with Parliament Gardens, Gower Street and Walsh Street making some of the best viewings. Jacarandas are native to Bolivia and Argentina. Their blooms coincide with the wet season over there, which is why the seasons are a bit out here in Australia, where they actually lose their leaves after all the frosts of winter are finished and then bloom mid to late spring. There's no shortage of fantastic jacaranda cities around the world. Los Angeles, Buenos Aries, Brisbane, Johannesburg, Pretoria. We've put together a little highlight package for your enjoyment.